Disclaimer: this video is about something I found interesting. I am an ordinary guy that finds stuff on the internet that I want to talk about. I would like to give special thanks to the Osbscurban legend and the Cryptid Wiki, because otherwise this video will be much harder to make. I am not only grateful that these pages exist for research purposes, but for also keeping these creatures forever immortalized online, so they're not forgotten. The links to these two wikis will be linked below. Cryptids are awesome. Whether or not they're real almost doesn't matter to me. Some cryptids like Bigfoot and a Loch Ness Monster are ones I personally want to be 100% real, while others, like the Jersey Devil, can remain ambiguous in whether or not they're real. That's the thing though, being ambiguous is probably more terrifying than if they exist, because then we truly don't know if these cryptids are living within the forests or waters around our area. While some are more believable than others, the more popular cryptids like Bigfoot and a Loch Ness Monster already have their own videos. These videos are informative for both the skeptic mind and true believers of these cryptids. However, something I found interesting are the more weirder cryptids. I'm going to go through a few cryptids that I found that seem weird and or obscure in no particular order. While other cryptids are more believable than the others, I hope the ones I cover can still be interesting. Hopefully through this video, you will all learn something new. We're going to start off small, and don't worry, the other entries won't be as short as this one. The first cryptid I'll go over is the killer cactus. Now by the name, you already get the idea of what it is. In the southwestern region of the United States, there are stories of cactus that seemingly jump out at people and attach to their skin. The killer cactus is said to be similar in appearance to the cholla cactus, and in fact, it appears to be the same exact thing. The cholla cactus is similar in the way it easily attaches to someone. Segments of these plants break off and latch onto whatever touches them. The spines of these plants have backward-facing barbs that make it harder and painful to pull out. However, people do insist that these killer cactuses do jump out at them to attack. What do you think? Is this just the case of people not looking where they're going? Or is there some sort of botanical creature jumping out and attacking passerby? Okay, so, from the title of this entry, you may think I'm making this one up, but I assure you I'm not. As funny as it sounds, the flannel shirt Sasquatch is a Sasquatch creature that wears human clothing. The clothing itself isn't like Supreme or anything. It appears to be wearing ragged clothing, which may or may not include animal hide. I know it may sound like it's just one creature by the way I phrased it, but no. There's actually been multiple sightings of Bigfoot-like creatures wearing clothing. In a post on Cryptomundo by Lauren Coleman on May 4, 2009, they mentioned how in the 1960s and 1970s, there were reports of Bigfoot wearing tattered plaid shirts and ragged shorts. The blog post itself is a good read, and I recommend you check it out if you're interested. Moving on though, there is a story told by Ivan T. Sanderson, a biologist who is considered to be one of the founding figures of cryptozoology. He tells of a story of a woman who allegedly encountered one of these shirt-wearing Sasquatches. To put it short, when the woman was a little girl, she reached a knoll in the meadow. That's when she heard the sound of something walking nearby. She would witness a 7 to 8 foot figure appear from the brush wearing torn clothing. This creature would then let out a growling sound that made the little girl run away in fear, and yeah, that seems to be the most noteworthy appearance of the flannel shirt Sasquatch. There are other sightings of large ape men wearing human clothing, but I couldn't verify any of them. One of these was a story allegedly ran by the Reno Evening Gazette in March 27, 1907. The cryptid was seen in Lexington, Kentucky by a farmhand who described it as a wild man wearing raccoon skin. I couldn't find the story in the Gazette, but maybe you guys will have better luck than me. As a little side note, a similar cryptid to our clothed ape man is a Tano giant that was sighted in the coast of Africa. It is described as a white ape of extraordinary stature, and it was said to keep the skin of bush cows to use when it got cold. What to make of this? Well, to me, it's one of two things. Some Sasquatches have a taste in fashion, Or the more fantastical theory, these are humans turned into them. Were-squatches, if you would. In all seriousness though, maybe these cryptids decided to try our clothing, or put on something similar as a way to mimic us. Or it could be wild men or feral humans simply wearing messed up clothing. What are your thoughts? Hey yo, just wanted to briefly interrupt my own video to say that if you like this video so far, then please leave a like. And if you want to see more of this type of content, then hit the subscribe button. It's free and you can always change your mind later. I am still new to making videos, so if you have any positive or negative feedback, then please let me know in the comments below. Now, back to the video. Trunco is the name given to an aquatic cryptid that was seen in Margate, South Africa on October 25, 1924. It was supposedly seen fighting off 2 killer whales for 3 hours, which is very impressive if true. However, it eventually washed up on the shore and a body lay there for 10 days. You'd think this would give scientists enough time to recover and study the carcass, but unfortunately that was not the case. People who have seen the carcass would state it was 47 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 5 feet high. As a comparison, a school bus is typically 35 feet long and 8 to 9 feet wide, though obviously it's a lot taller than 5 feet. It had white fur and a trunk just like an elephant. Oddly enough though, you'd think the trunk would at least be on the creature's head, but apparently no head was visible, and bystanders would state that it was on the torso. Another oddity of the body is that eyewitnesses say it had a lobster-like tail, as seen here. I couldn't find what happened to the body since no scientist recovered it, but I would just assume it was towed back to sea or was buried on the beach, similar to what we do with beach whale carcasses. One thing I should add here, in addition to Trunco being thought of as an unidentified species, others speculate that it's actually a globster of a known animal. A globster is a mass of organic tissue that resembles a beach sea creature. The mess typically would not have discernible eyes, bones, or a head. These blobs still wash up today, and are typically identified as whales, sharks, and sometimes even giant squids. Trunco's body may have been a known whale carcass, but at the same time, scientists weren't able to be there to identify it, so it could be a new species. The ocean is very large, very deep, and we're constantly discovering new species in it. Who's to say what's actually in it? Maybe Trunco is a new species we haven't discovered yet. Or an even more dreadful possibility is that it was the last of its species and may have gone extinct. For now though, it'll remain classified as that weird cryptid. The next cryptid I'll cover is the Loveland Frogman. The creature originated in Loveland, Ohio around the 1950s. There are different versions of the story as it was passed down, but here's the one I'll tell. A businessman would spot 3 frogmen on the side of the road as he was driving at night. They were about 4 feet tall and resembled frogs due to their leathery skin and, well, frog faces. This in and of itself wouldn't have caught too much attention, since it was just a random person that claimed he saw a frog humanoid. However, what happens when someone more reputable spots one of these creatures? In 1972, a police officer by the name of Ray Shockey was on patrol when he saw something run in front of his car. He made similar observations, leathery skin and being about 4 feet long. The thing about this encounter is that not only was this made by an officer, which by the way could ruin his reputation, but was in his headlights, so at the very least he did see something with leathery skin. It was hunched over, like a frog, before standing upright and fleeing to a nearby riverbank. 2 weeks later, another officer named Mark Matthews saw the same creature, but this time, he shot and killed it. The creature was recovered by Matthews himself. He would then show it to Shockey, who would confirm this was the same creature he saw. Great, so we can confirm the frogman to be real, right? Well, it turns out this was a really large iguana that was missing its tail. It was about 3 feet long and was theorized to be a pet that escaped or released. Now, while the Loveland Frogman's legend seems to have been a misidentification, at least in the 1970s, it is a very weird cryptid in my book. It's unfortunate the magic is gone. Or is it? You see, in 2016, a man named Sam Jacobs reported a sighting of the Frogman while playing Pokemon Go. He and his girlfriend went to Lake Isabella when they spotted the elusive Frogman. Luckily, we can see what he saw because he took photos and a video of the Frogman. Here they are. Don't let the flames die out, Frogman enjoyers. There's still a chance, no matter how small it might be. The next one here is very weird. And that's saying a lot since we cover Sasquatches wearing shirts and frogmen. Let me describe a snallygaster. It is said to be a half bird, half reptile with a metallic beak that is lined with razor-sharp teeth. Apparently this creature also possessed tentacles too. This creature was allegedly terrorizing German immigrants as far back as the 1700s and had a different appearance than more recent iterations. It was half bird that used the features of a siren mixed in with features of demons and other harmful entities. Early stories of the snallygaster claimed it sucked the blood of its victims, similar to the chupacabra. One way to keep the snallygaster away is to have a 7-point star around. This could be physically or even painted onto something nearby. Why does it keep the snallygaster away? Not sure. Later on though, tales of this creature were passed around to freed slaves so that they don't run off and just stay where they were, which isn't very cool. Another piece of trivia is the link between Theodore Teddy Roosevelt and a snallygaster, and how he wanted to hunt it around the year 1909. Roosevelt was the 26th president of the United States, and there are many cool stories about him, but we won't get into those right now. One thing you should know about him though is that he was a hunter, and a fearless one to boot. The reason why he wanted to hunt it is because how sensationalized snallygaster sightings were in the newspapers at the time. In fact, Roosevelt almost canceled an African safari to hunt this thing. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you view it, Roosevelt didn't. Unfortunate for us cryptid enthusiasts, this was all a hoax to drive up newspaper sales at the time. At the very least, though, it did catch the eye of America's most badass president. Those were some of the cryptids I found weird and fascinating. I have to say something though. When I was younger, cryptids were always so amazing to think about. Hell, the first time I was introduced to cryptids was on an Animal Planet show called Lost Tapes. It was a found footage horror show that displayed a number of cryptids, usually killing the characters of that specific episode. It definitely scared me, and made me afraid to walk from a bus stop. However, later on in life I found the idea of sharing these types of stories, whether or not they're real, amazing. The internet has helped a lot in that regard too. Nowadays, a lot more people are being exposed to cryptids thanks to popular YouTubers who do a great job in covering them. I think it's incredible how the storytelling medium changed from telling stories by a campfire to simply broadcasting a video for others to view around the world. This video might fly under the radar, but that's okay. I hope my loved ones and curious onlookers alike watching this video at least learned a thing or two about something I found interesting. Thanks for watching.